mitochondrial DNA, and we found out that there was no way genetically to say that, I can name the groups if you don't mind, Mukris who were considered untouchable and Havik Brahmins, you could not distinguish our genetic evidence at all. They were all the same genetic group.
So I'm sorry, I must have asked the question in a wrong way. My basic intention was that looking at how the lineage of the animals was, maybe it would be a better way of understanding how the migration patterns were.
Sure.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. That also. I know. Yes, I agree. But we do not have that kind of a careful study of these. If one looks at all the races of buffalo and cattle, and I mean more traditional races, and what the Dangars maintained, and so on, maybe one can interpret eventually. But today there has been no such study.
Thank you, sir.
You mentioned about Buddhism in Bhutan. Actually, India was also once, Buddhism was the dominant philosophy and religion in India before it was completely destroyed. So, but if you see entire Southeast Asia, they are Buddhists. China, Japan, Thailand, Burma, Vietnam, entire. Now, do you find a better conservation in these countries compared to other countries if religion plays a dominant role? And because Buddhism, the compassion not only goes to human beings, but also to animals and plants.
Yeah, see, I am not very familiar with detailed evidence in other parts, but I can only offer some anecdotes. In Japan also, there are sacred groves which are invariably associated with Buddhist deities. I have seen that. And I understand in Myanmar, Thailand, Vietnam also, with the Buddhist mathas, the monasteries, there are sacred groves associated and there is conservation. This is what I understand. But the only Buddhist country where I tried to understand this in some detail was Bhutan, where there is definite evidence of the Buddhist tradition seems to have an impact even today. In the other countries, see in China and all, because after all Marxism also in a sense is a religion-like philosophy, if you like. And when I was young, I have read, there were all these books available, very cheap books about stories about China. And one book I remember vividly, in the Mao Zedong's cultural revolution period, that there were these heroes, one boy and girl in a village in China, and there was this very vicious eagle, which is actually a threatened species, which was destroying the poultry from the village. And these heroes of communist system went systematically, bearing great risks, climbed up a hill peak and killed that eagle and his wife and his children in the big nest and so on. So they were great heroes. And certainly communism, at one point there are these stories of how they promoted destruction of wildlife and so on. So what influence Buddhism has left in China, I have no idea. But certainly these were stories I remember.
Normally when we talk about destruction of the environment, we talk about two things. One is resource depletion, what you referred to, but another one is pollution, which has come with the industrialization. And today, many of the forests are being destroyed, not because human beings are cutting them down, but because of acid rain and other things in the nearby habitats, where the people are creating, and ultimately if you see the acid rain, all the entire forests completely die out. There are evidences, many of the cases.
Yeah, and actually chemical weapons are being used as
in Vietnam, Americans had used to completely.
Vietnam is okay. In Goa, I saw one big patch of mangrove near this St. Istavad Island. We went on a boat ride, and one real estate developer, for whatever his own ends, has destroyed a large patch of mangroves. They said by spraying some tree-killing chemical on them. You can see that. So that way chemical warfare against mangrove forest is being launched currently in Goa.
Primarily, the religion is based on the welfare of the mankind. And previously, about 2000 years, the many these religions came into force. And their this main motto is to welfare of the human beings. But they are neglected the wildlife. But today, the 2000, this 21st century, this man realized their mistakes, and they wanted to preserve these animals and this forest. And this now for these things, the olden religions, most of the olden religions, they are never understand. They are making the obstacles. But this now it is the best idea is to the religious priest should make this moral love to their followers to preserve this forest and this wildlife. I think that.
No, I agree. I mean, sure. So I have no problem with that. Unfortunately, there are all sorts of vested interests actually. If I may take a concrete example, this host of mine on this Shakicha Juve Bismarck Diaz, he was a practicing Christian priest for many years. And his insistence that the church support nature preservation in Goa led to the unfortunate event that he has been thrown out of church. He has been dismissed as a priest. So I hope the priests will actually all over, and I mean not just Christian, but all religious this thing will think of this. But today there are all sorts of difficulties.